I think it's on. And hello.
Oh, there we go.
Check. All right, welcome to DATLAB 16. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
Yeah, I guess for anyone who's new here tonight, my name's Torin.
I'm Lyell.
This is Shui Long. And yeah, I mean, we started hosting these events because we wanted to make sure that we could get local artists and be able to have you all share your work on this amazing stage. And also, a big part of it, too, is having this as an opportunity for you all to be able to meet each other. I think that's the main goal. You know, when we started this, it was like, how do we just get, we want all like the local like music and tech nerds, like everyone come together and get a chance to meet and hopefully have some collaborations come out of this. Tonight, we have a really incredible lineup. Yeah, you'll see a little bit more from them shortly. But we're going to kick it off with Lyell today to share a little behind the scenes of a new operator family type situation that he's been working on. But I guess before we dive into that, I also wanted to hand the mic over to Shui Long to talk a little bit about the space as well.
Thank you, Torin. How are we feeling, DATLAB NYC?
Woo!
Thank you so much for coming out. The weather is beautiful. Perfect day to be indoors and talk about creative tech. But in all seriousness, really appreciate you all being here. If you haven't been here before, this is ZeroSpace. We're a virtual production studio. We are a creative agency. We specialize in using emerging tech to tell stories. We've been around since 2018. I have a really talented team here of 3D artists and technologists, and I met Torin and Lyell back in 2024 when these events were hosted at Chemistry Creative, and it is a huge privilege and honor of mine to bring these events to ZeroSpace and be able to share this community together and learn from each other. A few housekeeping notes. So we have pizza and drinks over in the corner. Bathrooms are at the back of the building. There are some signs. We are recording this, so just a heads up. If you have any questions about that, you can talk to me. And we're really excited about tonight's lineup. This is part of an event series that we host every month. You can find out more about these events at luma.com/ZeroSpace. And we don't just do DATLAB NYC. We also do creative AI like Comfy UI. We started hosting some personal AI agents. So if you've been playing around with like OpenClaw or Mez Agent, we've been hosting community events around that too. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's event and keep coming back for more. I'll give the mic back to Torin and Lyell.
Might do one quick other thing.
Oh yeah, quick. Actually, wait, before you come back on.
We have a quick thing for Shui Long, actually. I just want to say congratulations on your award yesterday at Red Bull Basement for his pitch. So I just want to say a quick hand. We wouldn't have any of these events without him, so I just wanted to congratulate him on that. And then, Torin, back to you.
Well, let's see. We've actually got the photo live here. If we can get it on the stage in a sec. Insane.
Heck yeah. Could I actually get a little cheer? I'm gonna record this on video and tell my girlfriend Young that people know about us.
Oh yeah. Hey, go. Nice job. Heck yeah, we got more photos too.
Oh,
Look at this.
a little full behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, all of them. Going quick.
Crazy. All right. And yeah, to kick things off, I'm gonna hand it over to Lyell. He's been collaborating with our friend Dan Molnar. He's actually live on the live stream right now. He's tuning in. Yeah, everyone give a huge round of applause for Lyell. Thank you.
All right. Well, hello. Thank you for coming. I have a couple things to talk about. One being, there's this new project that I collaborated with Dan, like Torin just said, called TD Fam. And I'm sure some of you, if you're familiar with like some awesome developers in the TouchDesigner community, we have like PopX coming out, T3D, L2D. I've put out LOPS a little bit ago. And so there's kind of like this new idea of being able to bring together not just a project, not just a tutorial, or not just like one approach, but creating a family of operators that can fit together. And you can kind of like distribute workflows and like strategies at working in TouchDesigner through native families. So you might notice a couple extra families in this op-create dialog. We have 12 new families. Some of these, like, let's find one. Fave, that's just empty. CVOP, also empty. But CVOP, MCX, some of these are extremely new, and I don't even have access because the developers are still working on them. And I'll quickly go through, and we basically did a live stream the other day. So if you guys want to pull out your phones and take a little snap of this, that was on Tuesday. Dan hosted it, and we hosted all 8 of the creators, and we showed off 12 different operator families. I'm gonna like quickly list out all these like cool new operator families that we're got going on, but like I said, this live stream is worth checking out. You can probably scroll through it. You might not need to watch the full 3 hours. But L2D is like a modular 2D lighting thing. So we have multiple renderers, per pixel material maps, and it works on all hardware. It's pure GLSL. This is by Kyle Meredith. MCX is a, let me find it on my phone, because there's 12 families. I don't have them all memorized. This is by Allegast. This is a multi-channel audio chop operators in C++. You're taking the idea of instancing and bringing that into modular synthesizers. And then we got GSOPs by a fellow New York TD friend, Lake Heckerman. It's Gaussian splat operators. I am very excited to see more about this. I haven't heard too much, but I think it's like a lot on the rendering and also the post and pre-process side of things. MFIOP, Matterform has got some, I think this is Matterform. Matterform also has blocks, which doesn't have a little logo. We've got FOPs, we've got JOPs, we've got STOPs, we've got CVOPs, we got T3D, we got POPs, and LOPs. So, it's a lot of stuff. I'm gonna show off some particular things of LOPs, my family, in a little bit, but also another link for you, .simulate/tdfam on GitHub. This is free and open source. Do check the license, it's Apache 2.0. We just ask for a little attribution on the project page, but this now allows anyone to create your own operator family. The simplest version of it would be going to the releases page and downloading the tdfam create. And I didn't plan on doing this, but I am. Dropping it into your project, which I think it's this one. And now you have tdfam create. 2 ways to package families. One, just inside a comp. We'll take a container and turn off cooking just so you don't cook your ops, but actually we have a button for it, create op comp, creates it for you right there, and you can store any sort of operator. I'm just going to take this blend operator and pretend that's one of my family. So now in your fam, we have blend 1 and we can place it. That's the simple version. Another simple version is linking a tox folder. So if you have already a collection of operators in a folder, I think even subfolders, break them into categories. Honestly, just no promises. I haven't tested that in a while. But you can list even a collection of other people's tools, just like if you want your own myfam or myfam there, or the favefam as we've called it here. And there is all sorts of other features. So you can do so many things with manifests, which are ways to bake your operators into smaller, that's stubs. Manifests, you just set all of the information of the operator. Stubs, you can bake them off into lightweight versions and share them and not share the internal IP. If it's like a Patreon exclusive thing, but you know your buddy also has it, then they can unstub on their computer. We also have updates. So developers with families can like trust that users will be able to update operators in their project once you like realize that you screwed up and everything has an error, which is very easy to do. And all sorts of other stuff. Go to the docs, check out that manifest reference. There are all sorts of things that you can do. Setting the filter, setting specific compatible types, search words, so you don't have to have like, the agent doesn't always have to be agent. That's one of my lops. And also pop menus, keyboard shortcuts. There's too many things to even list out. But yeah, that has been such a fun collaboration. I mean, the origin of it, it started back in 2024 at the Berlin TouchDesigner event, where Joseph Pels, Torin, and I, and Polyhop as well, Simon, were like all hanging out and hacking on how we could like change the TouchDesigner UI. And Joseph had this thing where he was basically turning every surface, because you can set the color of every UI surface into like a HSV rotating, just like crazy rainbow storm. And then the next day he comes in and it's like, I figured out how to make an operator family. It's like, oh, that's fun. A couple weeks later, T3D hit the Patreon, and I wanted to do and have been thinking about building a system that, I mean, LLM stuff I've been messing around with, experimenting for a while. The idea of bringing agents into TouchDesigner and configuring custom tools that like only exist within that project, potentially running local models, not relying on the big tech, or relying on the big tech to get the powerful models, but being able to like really control and set all of those parameters how I wanted, I thought that would be cool. And I am really into messing around with TouchDesigner, and that's the only place where I feel like I can actually experiment, especially 2 years ago. And so I took like the conversation format, brought it into a table, and figured out some ways to loop around the data so that you could then inject the table back into the agent and the conversation has grown. This expanded into like tool calling and some different ideas. And now I guess, yeah, I'll just go into LOPS. I released the last version, I think after a presentation here actually, in July or September. So you haven't heard many updates from me. But at this point, LOPS is now a collection of over, I think, 80 operators. Almost all of them have been fully rewritten internally since I last released 0.1.1. This is now 0, the naming doesn't matter, but it's like 3.0 or 0.3.0. I might release a 0.4.0 before I even put it on Patreon because there's some slight bugs that I'm fixing, but there's a version on Discord and I'm happy to send it to anyone. But now it's kind of turned into, yes, we have LLMs. Yes, we have this idea of being able to create environments for agents and set up tools. But I'm also leaning into the idea of users being able to modularly integrate and build on top of LOPS, not just with LOPS, I guess. So a lot of the new operators, like the any operator, gets a module DAT, and it comes with 3 modules. Preset morpher, like a little preset thing, state lens, which records parts of your project and like just records state, and then a text editor, which is kind of like Claude or Gemini or these things just can edit text on your computer, but this gives it that same tool. But now LOPS will come out with a lot more modules and guides and stuff, so you can either ask your agents or yourself if you want to write the Python to build out new providers or new modules for LOPS. I have a lot of examples here that I'm probably not even going to go into that much, but I was saying like we've got the, oh, I can't scroll, LOPS agent. This agent is connected to 3 tools. One of these tools is actually not released, but it's a tool runtime tool where it can write what the tool does live. And the last thing that this agent did was turn the tool runtime tool into a to-do tracker tool. So I'm really experimenting with taking the runtime of TouchDesigner and figuring out where the agent or where these processes run natively and are then hopefully useful and interesting to play. Another thing about LOPS is voice agent and some of the other agents got upgraded to have basically the same exact parameters as the regular agent. There's also multiple providers. This is kind of what I'm saying. In theory, you could also write your own voice agent provider. So you could use my LOP to integrate with some other custom external service. I also have a bunch of these like voice activity, speech to text, text to speech, which are also all provider based. They come with, the speech to text comes with 8 providers. 4 of them are like wake words, so you can say like, hey computer. A lot of them have Jarvis as the default, and then it'll like ping. So you could have that mic always listening, but it's not recording every word that's in the whole room. It's just like optimized for that one signal. And then with this, like this is in theory a fully local, doesn't touch the internet voice-to-voice agent built out of LOPS. There's 1 line of callbacks, I will say, in the agent callbacks, but I don't, or 4 lines to send the response, but I technically could have easily just like linked this parameter to be like this, or actually drag it successfully. But instead of having to write all of these callbacks and things, which you can just break it into the operators. We also have had some recent other stuff popping up by some other tool makers and TouchDesigner people in the community that are making the MCP servers for Touch. So you can connect external agents, and they have tools or these little things, and sometimes way too many tools in my opinion, but they give your agents access to Touch. So I have that on both sides, which the kind of inverse of that is when you want to connect to other servers. So you can use my MCP client to connect to servers, or you can use the MCP server to connect to clients. So you can write your own TouchDesigner Python code to actually define your own MCP servers using the fastMCP library. But my MCP tool comes with a Python execute tool, and I will say that this is the only thing that I use for my agents in Touch that are external. 1 tool, Python, and prompting. And then I have this whole like module building and Python thing. Then there's the tool manager, which you can bring a bunch of different TouchDesigner LOPS tools and actually host them inside of a unified MCP server for external agents, including the TouchDesigner MCP server that is for external agents now looped inside of this one. And to go 1 step further, you can hook up to external MCP servers, wrap them in the tool manager, and expose them as MCP servers to other agents in your network or outside of Touch. That's too much. Some fun stuff, little agent swarm. So you have 1 agent that controls the other agents. Looks like I haven't run an agent in this project yet, or else it wouldn't take time to import this Python library, but we got 1. And this is just making sure that the other agents can say, hey. And there's an error. Can't do that, buddy. And yeah, you can connect with cloud generative services like FAL, Fall AI, and use Nano Banana. I also have a Gemini image gen operator, which is basically just Nano Banana. Customized with modules, like I was saying, speech to text, voice agent, all of these things are now, yeah, I'm really just trying to make them so that you can build into them instead of placing them, I guess. That's kind of been my strategy. This crazy operator called graph, which is just a generalized relational index operator where you can write a module to define how you parse data and potentially what data you parse, and then you write 1 module that defines how you store that. I have a couple ones that come with it. The graph provider is, yeah, it's just these 2 at the top. And it looks like simple text, LOPS repo. Actually, this is not the one that ships. I was confused. This one has a better parameter page. And at the top of the projection, you can select these 5 built-in providers, which define how the data is parsed. And I don't have any storage providers, I guess. That might be a bug. Ooh. And yeah, future lops, ever since releasing the one on Discord, I've already made this super awesome, promising, generalized diffusers lop that takes the entirety of the diffusers library and turns it into a modular approach where you can write. This one's got like too many modules. I'm going too crazy with the modules. But you can select the pipeline and the runtime and the output and the input. So this is a pipeline, or this is a in-painting one that saves to disk. So you can define how that data is sent in and out. I don't know. I'm getting too much in the weeds. I'm going to have a lot of short videos coming out soon that try to break these things into small, little bite-sized concepts. I also have fully up-to-date documentation with too much text to read, but also this cool, fun map view, which is hard to show, but it's a little bit better on like a 4K monitor, honestly. But you can click the operators, you can see relations to them, you can just view the full docs here. Oh, got my buddies sending me messages. And you can, yeah, explore the LOPS universe here, check out the changelog, and that's about it. Thank you.
Questions from the audience?
I'll throw this up while you have questions. This is the TD Fam live stream again. No questions? That's good, because I went too long. I am happy to talk with anyone and everyone after. That is, if you, do you know what the diffusers library is?
Pretend like I don't. Yes, but no, I do not.
Diffusers is just like any sort of diffusion-based generative image stuff. It started with image. Now you can do text and like agentic stuff here, but I have selected the in-paint fast pipeline. If I select like Z image turbo, it will change all the parameters, change the parameters here, and within the pipelines there's actually different workflows. So I can do Z image in paint, and hopefully, yeah, the input mask and image would be there. And then that builds the diffuser's code for you to run in the external server. Diffusers is the like lower level side of stream diffusion as well. So in theory, modules could be written to turn this into a stream diffusion if you had a real-time output and input streaming module. That's kind of my plan, is then stream diffusion can just be a module inside of another LOP. But
hey, Lyell.
Yeah.
Sick presentation. Curious if you have anything maybe in the works for more like visual processing. I know like Gemma 4 recently came out. It's a little bit small, so.
no, it's great.
Yeah, it seems great for this setup.
I've been very much specifically optimizing for local models. There is a section on the website for that, but not just. Yeah, the Gemma 4 being able to even, you can input audio. The one thing that I don't have in LOPS is there's like this context grabber, which is cool, and I can't spell. Context. So this you can add as many images, DATs, text, PDF, video, or audio to your user message, attached to the message. So with this tied to my agent with local Gemma 4 E4B, I was able to have it connect to AceStep, generate audio and listen to it, and then try to generate better audio. It didn't work. But that was a fun like loop. That was like, oh, it's an iterative DJ almost.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think that's it. We're going to have another presenter here soon.
Next up, we've got Chris. We're going to do a quick little handover real quick and then keep things rolling. Alrighty, getting started here in just a second. All right, so we're super, super lucky this evening. Chris has actually been working in live stage visuals for quite some time. And we're super lucky. They've been building out stage visuals for Public Enemy, and we're going to get a little peek behind the scene to see what some of their process is like. Yeah, super, super excited to see what's some of their in-depth processes. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, I think we're gonna do a quick little like changeover for the visuals for a second here. But yeah. All right, please give it up for Chris.
Hello, hello. Usually I'm not outputting any audio because I'm just a video guy, so bear with me. But thank you for having me. Give it up for Lyell, though. That was an awesome presentation. So I just did my first non-concert show yesterday in 2 years at the ADC Awards. So, you know, it's fun touring. I'm very excited. I'm very new to New York. And so, yeah, I'm excited to do some more interesting stuff. I think I got to get his project and start doing some stuff. But just want to talk a little bit about, you know, my gig with Public Enemy. A little bit about me first. We need to do a disclaimer here first. There might be some profanity and strobes. So if that's not your cup of tea, there's foosball over there. Topics that we're going to cover is about me, about Public Enemy, just VJing in general, some personal work that I've made, geared, advancing, stuff like that. I went to UC Santa Cruz, and I got a history degree, which a lot of people ask me, like, how'd you go from history to running video? And I think, like, in the broader context, I was able to understand where we are at in humanity because we're very fortunate to even have these video walls. And we're like pretty much the first generation of humans to ever, you know, be able to experience this kind of stuff. And I think that's what made me really excited about learning video. And I started building these LED walls. And then eventually taught myself animation, taught myself how to VJ, and got on tour with artists like Lil Wang, Christina Aguilera. I do NBA Youngboy as well, Kali Uchis. And the artist that I'm most excited to work for is definitely Public Enemy, because they're just the coolest guys. Flav and Chuck are just awesome people to work for. And we've done some really, really crazy shows, crazy tours. We got to open for Guns N' Roses in Europe last year. And they liked us so much that they're inviting us out this year too. So if you want to go see a show where I'm VJing, we're going to be in New Jersey at some point on that tour. So, yeah. And so I wanted to talk about this guy a little bit. Because he's the inventor of the blue LED. That came out in 1990, the year that I was born. And, you know, from like almost blowing up his lab and defying his bosses, he was able to like figure out this blue LED, and we wouldn't have billions of colors on this video wall. Before that, they only had like red and green LEDs. And so with that blue LED, and he ended up suing them and not making a whole lot of money about it, but I highly recommend checking out a documentary or something about it. And so, yeah. And eventually I got this gig with Public Enemy, and I was really excited for it because there's not too many artists out there that, you know, take any kind of political stance. A lot of them are very neutral. They don't want to divide their audience and stuff like that. And so I think with me having a history degree and all that stuff, it's just been a really great time to get out there with them. A little bit about Public Enemy is they rose to prominence. If people aren't aware about Public Enemy, you should be. This is New York. But they're from Long Island, and they got big in the 80s. And there's a ton of people affiliated with Public Enemy. They always tour with these guys called the S1W, Security of the First World. And they do choreographed dances, and they're supposed to be representatives, and they're protection, essentially. You know, they represent all these other values there, too. I don't want to talk too much about that. I'll let them do that. But what that means, though, is that we have 2 DJs on stage, a drummer, 2 dancers, and then 2 artists. And I have anywhere between 3 to 7 cameras every show. And so what a lot of people do is they bring 1 capture card. And that means you only get a program feed from that camera. I've been bringing a Bird Dog NDI capture along with a Magewell. And that gives me 5 inputs that I can now switch between different video walls and do some really cool stuff with. Give me 1 second. Let's go to... which is pretty fun because you can put Flav up on one wall and you can put Chuck up on another wall. And it's very exciting when you can start doing some interesting things with it. And this is like automating where the mapping and the compositing is going. And it becomes a lot more interesting. And I'm not even touching anything. It's doing all this extra. So we're able to you know, get the BPMs of every song. What if, in this particular show, we don't have any time code, and we have no way of connecting the visuals to the audio. And so it's just a punt-heavy set. Punting is doing it live, which is a lot of fun. And a lot of this is trying to extend content from a content team that's 15 seconds long. And the song itself is 4 or 5 minutes. And so how do you do that? And you know, you do it through effects, you do it through compositing, and you do it through interesting mapping. And the 4 pillars of VJing, at least for EDM stuff, is having good tracers, chasers, mapping, and then compositing. And then if you know, you're not working with a DJ, you have cameras as well too. Sometimes you still have cameras. And so, 1 second. This is mostly Resloom, but what I use TouchDesigner for is through like enhancing a MIDI controller and giving me even more control over it. And you're able to have certain exceptions or different math that's going on that's in these MIDI controllers. But I have a lot of different sections. I have a compositing section. I have 2 essentially digital MEs, which is camera switchers. And then I have a mapping section, effects section, and then a chaser section. and then the tracer section, and then effects on top of that too. So it's like 30 layers already in Resloom, so it's a lot to handle. But some cool stuff that I'm doing is I'm using OSC Pilot, and I'm sending NDI into my controller. So when I hit these buttons, I'm actually hitting the different camera inputs right here. And so instead of having a giant, mixer, like camera mixer, essentially, you're able to do it all in Resloom, or do it all in your video stuff, because I have the right hardware. A lot of the times, a lot of festivals that we go to, they won't have all of the capabilities that I want. The one that I'm doing this Sunday in Columbus, they have their iMag screen, so the screen that goes to the sides of the video wall is mirrored. And I'm like, what the heck? And they only have a program feed for me. And so that's kind of a bummer, but not every time we're headlining, and I can kind of bully the festival into getting what I want sometimes, and sometimes I can't. So just to go over some stuff that I made for this. When we were out in Europe, I found out that they were releasing an album, and we didn't really have any content for it. And so something like this I made in Unreal in a day, less than a day, because I was working on other stuff too. And also, while we were out in Amsterdam, I shot this at a venue before the first show of the tour. And I mixed it with Ableton and TouchDesigner and into Resloom. And so throwing the song into Ableton, you can track out exactly like where each bar is, and you can start timing all your visuals. And then I throw that into essentially just a capture card or something, or a recorder of some sort. And we made this in like 4 hours. Not even. And I had to like source a camera guy and all this other stuff. It was kind of nuts. And so I am skipping over some stuff. However, so that's one other thing that I've made. And then what was the other thing that I did? This is actually on Spotify when you search the song March Madness. I also made that during this tour too. Yeah, in about 2 days, I cranked out about 4 different visuals and stuff like that were a lot longer than the 15 seconds that I got. And some of these real-time workflows are just a lot faster than rendering. Spending hours and hours just trying to get one image out as opposed to like just doing all this stuff real time. If anybody's confused about this mapping, this is from a show that I was supposed to do last weekend. I was supposed to do Rolling Loud. I was supposed to do Rolling Loud, and if you can see here, you can see, well, here, let's see if this is better, yeah. You can see the different screens. There's 2 different iMags, and then ribbons above that as well. Sorry for the extremely blurry photo back there, but we're capturing it 1080 right now. And so NBA YoungBoy canceled the Friday before the show. Which, I mean, if you want to work in the rap industry, you got to be a little resilient to people making last-minute changes and sometimes not showing up. From my experience on Lil Wayne, it's just every once in a while that happens. You still get paid. In this particular situation, I did not, though. So it was kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. And so, yeah, I don't know how much more I should go into, or if anybody has any questions or anything like that. Yeah. I go through OSC and MIDI, but basically there is basically a backdoor between TouchDesigner and Ableton where you can expose every parameter. And so now you can start doing all your automation in a grid, which helps. I've had to use that process before like a 50,000 person show for like Christina Aguilera. I realized like the last second we didn't have anything for like the finale. One of the art directors stole some art from a different song, from that song, and used it on a different song. And I didn't realize it until we were on site. And there's 50,000 people there, and I have to bang it out in like an hour, hour and a half, something like that. And you just gotta like sit there and do it and get it done. So it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes, but public speaking is almost worse. Oh, jeez. Which one do I want to do for this? So, we are, 1 second. This was one of the arenas, I think this was Finland. I'm not too sure. Was that Finland? I don't know. But we got to run like huge stadiums, and that's usually why I have 2 laptops, just in case one dies. You don't want to be in Finland and have no computer, then you have no job. And so, yeah, it's been an awesome gig to have. It's a legacy act, and they're also somewhat like political in some sense of the word, and yeah, it's been very exciting. Is there any other questions? Yeah. I'm a baller, and I'm hitting this shit like crazy. I'm also using, we'll try to put a different camera of this right here. And so, man, that screen looks terrible from this angle. But you can see some of this program that I have right here, where, jumping off of this. But basically, this is using OSC Pilot. You can make your own like UI and send out MIDI, send out OSC, and you can map this stuff to tons of effects. And the reason why I have so many layers and so many groups is I want to do very specific things. I want to be able to put content anywhere, but I also want to be able to strobe this side and strobe this side. And with that, I don't want effects that are attached to any particular content. I want effects to go where I want them. And so if you can do that, and you have good timing, and maybe you play a little bit of music, like you can do, I don't know, make it interesting. And I think after we did that tour, we all got in this like circle, and we all like had to say something. And the thing that Chuck said was just like, I've never really seen your visuals, because I'm on stage, I'm not looking at the video wall. But he was like, when you were crushing it, we could tell, like the audience would have like a reaction, and they would be stoked about it. And it's great to hear from somebody like Chuck, say something like that. So, yeah, it's been fun. Is there any other questions? No? Oh, you got one back there?
First off, great presentation. I was curious because, right, I see there's a lot of control here just in terms of direction and style. So I'm curious, as you're working with these artists, do you have creative control, or do they kind of give you inputs and then like during the set, you're kind of keeping that in mind?
Yeah, for this particular, I mean, it varies artist by artist. When I work with Caliucci's, it's like a team of art directors, and I have no, like there's an objective, correct way to run the show, and it seems like there's always edits, and they're always tweaking things, and they're like, I think the fade out should be like a 1/4 second faster, and you're just like, geez. But we use like disguise servers for those. For Public Enemy, I wouldn't say 100% creative control, but I can pretty much do everything that I want. They're like, dude, sick. So they've been really happy with what I've been able to run and been able to program, and I'm looking forward to doing this next tour for sure.
How long is that tour?
It's only like 3 weeks. We got like 8 or 9 shows on it, something like that.
All right.
Yeah. But we're playing in New Jersey at I think at the stadium there. I don't know what it's called. But yeah.
What are your favorite controllers to use for VJing?
I use an APC 40 just because it's huge sometimes, and if I'm headlining and I could be like, I get a 6-foot table, right? Like I'll bring an APC 40. But a lot of times I use the Native Instruments like KF1 or K2, something like that. It's discontinued now because Native Instruments just went out of business. I think they just got bought though. But it's like 4 pads. It's about this big. But I use like 2 of those, or I use 1 of these. Sometimes I use a Stream Deck. I've been getting away from that. The thing about hip hop is that the set list is always going to change. The set list, if they hand you a sheet of paper, that's usually just a suggestion. You have no idea. They could call an audible at any point. And so I've been using TouchDesigner to take pictures of the set list, reorganize my cues, and then send that into Reslin. So it's basically just like a smarter Stream Deck. But yeah, go for it. Oh yeah, I'll put that up. I think I had a slide. So Bird Dog, it's a 4-input. See if I can hit that one. Nope. 1 second. This thing, it's so overpriced. Oh my God. And it claims it'll do 4 4K inputs. But basically that there's an Ethernet and an SFP port, so you can leave that in camera world and plug in all the cameras and then run fiber out to front of house and then get your 4 inputs. So it's a pretty cool solution. This is how I annoy everybody on site. And my last advance for this show that I'm doing in Columbus this weekend, the guy called me. He did not want to respond to my email. And he was just like, dude, what the hell? I didn't realize Public Enemy was rolling so deep. And I was like, oh, they're not. It's just me. Just me. So, yeah, no, every time I show up, I make the house guys really work. But I try to be really nice. And, if we can't get everything, I'm not like a huge dick. I'm just trying to get along, with everybody and make a show happen. So, yeah. Any other questions? What other hardware? I mean, it's basically, I have 2 5080 laptops. This is a touchscreen monitor, and it's a U-Perfect monitor. It supposedly has a 0.1 millisecond response rate, and so that's running that, APC 40, and then I usually just bring a mouse and keyboard and call it a day. So, yeah. It's fun stuff. Any other cool? So, these are the guys back in the day. Their song, Fight the Power, it starts off with 1989 is the number. And it's just funny, I was born in 1990, so I'm the baby on this tour. Yeah, it's great. These guys are so much fun. I got to hang out with them in a bus for, 5 weeks in Europe or something like that. So that was pretty cool. Any other questions? Oh. It's kind of, for a particular show, hopefully, well, I'm like reprogramming this show file right now, and so like it'll take a while. It'll take like all week to like figure out how I'm gonna do this a little bit different sometimes. But usually for a show, it's like maybe a half day, you know. Once you get the pixel map and you can kind of figure out where you can put content, you know, it's pretty streamlined once you have a show file. So, yeah. God, these slides are bright. Any other questions? Oh, so that's another thing that I've been hacking the system to a little bit. When I first was working with rap, a lot of the times you're not gonna know what song's playing. And so I'd be on these airplanes out to, I don't know, Europe, and I just listen to the music over and over again and try to like memorize the first 5 seconds, which is a little terrifying. Because especially like a lot of the music sometimes sounds the same depending on the artist. But what I've been doing now is I've been taking an extra capture card and advancing this with these festivals to get a feed from the DJ's laptop so that I can see his Serato and I can see what track's coming next, what's playing right now. Yeah, because Flav messes up the He messes up the set list all the time, and he's supposed to do 10 push-ups every time he does it, but he hasn't been doing that recently. So maybe I'll have to get on him about that. But yeah, so I've kind of hacked the system a little bit more recently, and it's been so much less stressful. So yeah. Any other questions? All righty. Well. I will leave it at that, I guess. You can check out maybe some of these tracers. But we can run through maybe just like one song or so. So. This is not going to run very fast, but yeah, it's a fun little process. It's a great gig. I love it. It's amazing. And we're hopefully doing another content pitch for them as well. And yeah, excited. Oh, we got another one. Yeah. Fadus, baby. And you can like bring this up, bring it down. I have mappings. And so I'm just moshing faders the whole time, and I'm hitting buttons. No, I mean, I'll have, it just depends on the show, because sometimes like the show will just have the upstage wall on one output, and then they'll have the 2 iMags on the other output, but it just changes every show. So as long as I get, access to all of the outputs and get access to all of the inputs, then I can start doing all this crazy programming. Because then you just have more options. Sorry? No, I map it to different things, to different places. So yeah, I'm never mirroring. I never scale anything. I want to hit the whole map. I want to hit it at 4K or whatever the native resolution is. Sometimes you have to go down to 1080 and let the person doing the switcher essentially scale you up. Most of our content is 1080. And then I forgot to show this too. Well, on this particular laptop this particular laptop will do 3 4K outputs right out the gate, but I'm also using a Sonnet HDMI adapter, It's like a Thunderbolt to HDMI, and it'll do 2 4K outs from one Thunderbolt. So I can do 5 outputs on each of these computers if I had to. So, but most concerts aren't going to have more than 3 outputs. It's very rare. So, yeah.
All right. Give it up one more time for Chris. Thank you. We're going to do a quick little handover to our last presenter, and then we've got a really, really incredible AV performance, so stick around. Be a quick second. All right, we're going to get started here in just a second. If we start making your way back. And we can switch it over. All right, so super lucky today. I actually got a chance to see Ray's work online. I think it was some of their caustics experiments. These really beautiful experiments playing around with sending sound through water and building these like beautiful immersive installations around that. And we actually got to finally connect at one of the DATLAB events. So we're super excited. Ray actually came and took the train from Boston to get over here. And actually, that's two people because Manaswi, who's going to be doing the AV performance later, also came out from Boston. So super lucky. Please give it up for Ray.
I needed to wait a second. All good?
Yes, that was great.
Hi everyone. I'm Ruipeng. People also call me Ray. I'm a artist and researcher at MIT Media Lab Critical Matter Group. My main focus is water, ripple, and beings. For me, like water is more like an environment, being as an emergency, and like ripples as a medium of connection. Yeah. The first thing I want to talking about the ripple. I think like as Tori mentioned before, like I'm more like a ripple person doing some water semantic installation. But like today, actually, I want to share something new. Like, but before that, I want to like quickly go through my previous work. There is a sound? Something wrong with the sound? Can you check something? This one? This one? No. Not this one. Oh yeah. That one. Show me? Something wrong? No sound? Oh, sorry for that. So something wrong with the sound? Are you sure with me? Oh, okay. Oh. Here I want to talk a little bit about the technical part. Apparently I'm using like Torrents media pipe, but I'm also using like the stream diffusion to real-time get the water patterns. So in this way, I can real-time get the water footage and send to the AI to generate some like different contents. For the setup, it's very straightforward. Just using like a very basic subwoofer. The subwoofer I using TouchDesigner to match some frequency. In this way, like once my hand gesture get get some data, so the data can map to the TouchDesigner. Here's another setup for, I'm thinking about what if I can control multiple water pans and let them all vibrate together. So in this way, I control the different water pans. The up and down is control the sound volume, and open and close hand gesture can control the frequency. Here is some image of the. Yeah, here's a sad research for me. As you see, the material can glow. Actually, it's called a bioluminescent material. It can only glow in the dark. Here, I'm thinking about for this test, I'm just testing the different the special effects of the liquid, which is super helpful for my another work. This work, I try to just connect the brainwave with the water waves. In this way, the both waves can share the same quality. And this is originally my personal demo at Media Lab, and then we just make it the whole project become a bigger team project. And this is a project we just invite a Buddhist monk to do the meditation in the center stage of the new MIT music building, and we just hang the installation around the 40 feet high from the ceiling. So in this way, we can make the whole field become a spatial meditation space. This project was selected by the SIGGRAPH R paper, and if you guys in LA, hope we can keep in touch. And here I want to talk about a little bit the technical part, but I cannot to speak too much. Basically, it's a very right now I'm using a new tool called transducer instead of subwoofer, because transducer can bring more mechanical vibration than subwoofer. And then we are just using there's a device called Brinko. We collaborate with them, and we just real time get their data. We send the data through OIC, send to TouchDesigner, and then we use TouchDesigner to real-time control the frequency. The frequency actually just because, as you see, it's a live performance. We need to have kind of a robust quality. So basically, we needed to have two kind of frequency. One is a real-time changing. Another one is a stable frequency to maintain the ripple can be very stable and gorgeous, yeah.
Whispering water.
And this project is my first time try to using audio interface to control different sound channels. In this way,
the water is mixed with UV reactive dye, which glows blue under ultraviolet LEDs to visualize the water patterns. Here, you can speak to the water, release what you carry, and let yourself be vulnerable.
I look confident, but I'm afraid people would realize I don't belong.
First, it will read your emotion and sets the basic frequency. Then 6 agents respond through pairs of subwoofers.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, the 6 agents, they represent different vibration frequency. And in this way, I can control different frequency just in a same water container. So I think it's a very easy and straightforward match using FFT to translate the sound signal to different sound source.
Finally, they synthesize their perspectives into a unified response, driving all 6 subwoofers to create the final water pattern.
And in order to achieve that, we just build a multi-agent communication interface, and each one just using the water language to communicate with each other. I think it's a very, and beyond that, we are also using originally we just want to using TouchDesigner to do everything, but we found that especially for multi-agent tasks, it's better to run the multi-agent all the tasks on the person, and we use WebSocket to real-time send the data to TouchDesigner. I think in this way it's more efficient for the AI part, and we also have the emotional analyze in the beginning. In this way, people can get a totally different response each time. And this is a very, very new work I made a few days ago. Just what if the water can become an instrument? As you see, it's the logic is very simple, just using the logic of capacitor, but different touch can generate different frequency, and the frequency can visualize with the water. The frequency here are from 80 Hertz to 120 Hertz. And here is this is the lab situation. You can tell the messy part. So basically, I use very still. I think from all of my practice, kind of try to use a smart and straightforward way to build some interesting connection. As you see here, I use a file resistor and a file connection. And as you see here, this kind of kind of mooling, something like mooling. So basically, I connect them. So in this way, your body and the water become a whole circuit. So in this way, you can just use a very tangible way to interact with the water. And actually, this I want to spend more time to talk and share with you guys. This is another my recent focus beings. So I always interesting for the artificial life. It's artificial life, which means it's more like a game of life, and they have also a very latest advancement called the linear. So I just have a very lucky chance to do a practice like this. So once the same color entity they touch each other, they will have a baby. But like through the process, they can keep evolve. Like they can just even like keep growing until beyond the environment limit. Yeah. So in terms of the research on the artificial life, the reason why I feel like this kind of difference is just like for the artificial life, it's very difficult to just use a mathematical way to generate a real baby. But for my things, maybe it's a new opportunity for me to keep doing it. Yeah, for this work, I just using like Touch and Unreal Engine to connect them together and do a very simple like water projection on the water. So once you touch, it will have a kind of like a species explosion. So here's another work I'm trying to using different hands to interact with the water to trigger the game of life. Yeah, so everything ran, the visual part, everything ran on Unreal Engine, like even the shader and I did a lot of using Blueprint to calculate some the lifespan for each entity and how they interact with each other. They have 7 generations, and once they beyond the limit, it will die gradually. I got a chance 2 months ago. I did a performance at the Harvard Chem Lab. They have a room they call the Infinite Room. They have a several semi-transparent screen, and they also have some mirror. So in this way, we can see the space. As you see, it can do some fancy stuff. So I did a performance for their exhibition. I basically just combine my last 3-year practice and into this one performance. As you see here, this is I made it's more like a multi-universe Petri dish animation. And here is a smaller scale, just focus on one Petri dish simulation. And here is we zoom to the union of each entity. As you see here, it looks very organic, but actually it follows a mathematical function, a attractor. If you know about open complex system, the attractor is almost like a representation for the butterfly effects. And then we are zooming into the inside, the kernel of the creature. So here's a whole show. Here's the logic of the whole show. And I will show a very, actually kind of long video, but I hope you guys enjoy it. I will show just the second part, and so the performance just I combine a water instrument I made before. I connect to the audio interface. I using Touch to do all the projection mapping part. And I also using a media pad to get some hand gesture, and some video they are come from. Actually, this video from old is already dead AI tool. It's called VO2. VO2 is very good at doing macro scale visual, but for some reason Google abandoned it. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so. For this part, I'm trying to just combine the visual I made with VO2, which provide a kind of repo environment, and also combine with the visual I made in the Unreal Engine. So in this way, I combine the simulation and the environment together. the process is kind of like, yeah, I mean, the growing process is kind of interesting. In the beginning, it will grow very slow, but at some point, it will grow very fastly. Just like our human population, it will grow very, very fast. And once it beyond the limit, it will die gradually for this animation. So try to simulate the real situation for the world, maybe. Yeah. This slide try to show another part of how the this is a chapter 5. I made it I use a UV react liquid material. In this way, like under the UV light, the material will glow under the certain environment. And I use hand gesture, the same logic to vibrate the water. This is the end chapter of the whole show. So basically, I just combine 4 different scales of the simulation world. One is like the parallel world, another is single world, another is like one entity, another is the inside. I just combine them together, and I also like interact with the water to become the ending of the show. Yeah, I think this should be the last section of my work, and I want to wait. Okay, yeah, here's I think this is a real new prototype since I was at Media Lab, so I want to doing something like maybe fundamental different from my previous practice, but like I feel like it also has some connection. Like I think especially in Boston, people like really love to doing some hardware, and people get more interesting to the robot. So I think about like what if the robot can be burned, which means what if a mother robot can give a birth to a baby robot? Yeah, I will show this video. So ideally, the setup will have two parts. One is the physical part. The physical part will the robot will give birth to another robot, and the second part is the digital simulation to simulate what if it happens many times. Like what if they have a new species, they can give birth to each other. This is a new prototype. Like once the mother gave birth, it will change the environment. It will vibrate the water. Like in this way, it can to release some energy of the birth. Yeah, and the birth is kind of a slow process. Like it will gradually came out. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Questions from the audience?
Amazing presentation, thank you. For the brain waves, like resonance, are the textures live or is it processed and then displayed?
Oh, you're curious about the architecture, right?
No, the textures, like
Oh,
display.
texture. Oh,
yeah.
okay, cool.
So is that processed and displayed or is that live processing?
For the texture, I have to say that for the resonance project at the MIT Music Concert Hall, we just we have a light hanging above the installation. In this way, the light can come through the water and to light the space. And for another my brainwave project, I'm using a very special watercolor. That watercolor originally to simulate the physical currents. So in this way, it can show the water motion more vividly. Yeah.
Other questions from the audience?
For the tunnel that you could speak into, when it said you could respond to your emotions, are you using media pipe, like looking at the face to do derive emotions from facial expressions as well, or are you just using media pipe like with your hands?
You mean the tunnel project?
Yeah, the tunnel project. You said that it was it could read your emotions. I've seen some people use media.
Actually, that's not media pipe. Actually, we are using some microphone to real time get people's voice, and we use some 11 lab to real time to generate 6 agents' voice. So and we also analyze we decompose them into 6 frequency, and this kind of 6 frequency they will vibrate the 6 subwoofers separately. Yeah. For that project, we never use media pipe.
Okay, so it's just feeding what you say into the 6 different agents.
Yeah, that's true. That's why we call it whispering water. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right. Give it up for Ray. Put it. We're going to do another quick handover reel, and Minasui is actually going to come do a little behind the scenes on their AV performance, and then dive into it. But yeah, quick handover. We'll be back in just a sec.
Do you have the other mic? Do you have the other mic?
No, I don't.
All right. And here we are, about to have our fourth and final performance. Thank you all so much for coming out to the 16th DATLAB. It's been awesome, a wonderful turnout, and definitely stick around for this last thing. A few things to like shout out, community shout out, some sponsors. This event is definitely only possible because of ZeroSpace and the crew that are helping out with like this AV equipment. So definitely give them a round of applause and a big thank you. Yeah, to all the speakers. Before, like usually about 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes a little bit later, sometimes a little sooner, before our events when we announce them, we send out a form, and it's been amazing to see all these community submissions for people that want to get on the stage and present any sort of artwork. So please keep an eye out for that, and please send us your submissions. Any sort of presentation, we'd love to see it, and we have like a backlog of like some backups as well. So if you don't get a message, you might get a message later. And then there's also been some community artwork, I think, playing as well. So there's also a place where you can just submit art. And sometimes we play that on this wall, sometimes back in the corner. And yeah. A couple other things on this second TV here. You've seen some real-time diffusion with SDXL. That's hosted on Daydream server using Stream Diffusion TD. So they are a sponsor of the event, and we thank them for supporting and also just being a cool team of engineers and cool service. So shout out Daydream, check that out. And I think that's all I got. Hand it over to Shui Long, ZeroSpace.
Yeah, a couple other words for tonight. Well, first of all, thank you all for making out to nearly the end of the event. Have you all been having fun? Yeah? Awesome. So I want to give a quick note after this presentation. You know, we have a little bit of time to mingle, but then we typically congregate at Threes Brewing after the event ends, and you guys can continue the conversation and community building and all that good stuff there. We will have to close the studio pretty soon after the end of this last performance. I also want to give a shout out to the Google Magenta team, and I'll give them a quick introduction before Manasi goes on stage. So who here has heard of Google Magenta and the work they've done? All right, we have a few folks in the crowd. So the Magenta team released their first sort of open source toolkit in 2016. So this year, 2026, marks the 10-year anniversary of that team. And let's just give a shout out to how far they've come in those 10 years. Today, we're sort of on the eve of a new release that you all will have this incredible sneak peek into. This is the first release that the Magenta team has put out in 2 years. It's a very exciting tool. I'm not going to spoil too much what the details are. You'll hear from Nasui. But if you would like to stay up to date on this tool, you can follow the Magenta blog at magenta.withgoogle.com. magenta.withgoogle.com. And also, if you could have the members of the Google Magenta team who are here tonight stand up. Yotam, Alberto, and George. Yeah, you guys can find them after the presentation and ask them questions. And yeah, if you're interested in coming to more ZeroSpace events, we do multiple event series every month. This is our DATLAB NYC event. We're doing next Friday a personal AI agents event. So if you're curious about OpenClaw or Hermes agent or just personal AI agents in general, would really encourage you to check that out. Geared towards real-world use cases for people who are, operating businesses or trying to organize their life and automate a bunch of admin work. It's a really exciting time to be thinking about this kind of stuff. And we also do creative AI and comfy UI meetups. So if you're interested in all that stuff, go to luma.com/ZeroSpace. And without further ado, I want to introduce Munaswi, who will be presenting the latest work that the Magenta team has been doing on the frontier of generative music. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Hello, everybody. Hi. I want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody who has made this space and all of us coming together happen. And I know people have already clapped for it, but can we get, this is what a space to be in. Yes. And I'm really lucky to be sharing these new ways of making music. I think we can explore the future together. I think everybody over here is super creative. I've been talking to some friends over here and making new friends. So I really trust in us pushing it in every different direction. Before I make these sounds and show you the ways in which we can make music now, I want to give you a little bit of context of why I'm interested in AI and music and what I'm trying to do. So here is a sound check. That was important because there was no sound. There it is. Okay. Cool. That sounds nice. Okay. So I want to say that I love music, and I think many people here love music. How many of you have played a musical instrument before? That's everybody. I love this question more than how many of you are musicians, because I think it's a hard question. What does it mean to be a musician? But we all have played with these instruments. And this is a picture of me when I was 4 years old. And I have all these recordings of myself when I was 4 years old. I'm singing songs. I'm recording weird animal noises. And a few years ago, I made a voice model out of my 4-year-old voice. And so I have a message for all of you from my 4-year-old version.
Thank you for being here today at DATLAB.
Thank you for being here. I think this is very powerful. I could never have done this before this voice cloning tech existed. And there are many questions about how to use this tech, but some things are possible that weren't before, I think. And I love music. I've been playing many instruments and many ensembles. I love technology, making art with technology, sculptures, collaborations, textiles, Burning Man, Algorave. And I also love community and bringing people together, because it's really with a group of people that you figure ideas out and get critique and push things forward. I want to say one of the ways that music tech community comes together is a musical instrument, right? Here are some instruments. And over generations, we have built new instruments, from bone flutes to wooden instruments to metal instruments to electronic instruments to radio waves, touch screens. And I noticed two things, like no instrument is replacing or better than another. Like guitar is a different language, violin is a different language. And also the violin in Vienna is very different from the violin in Chennai in India. So these are all languages to explore. So I really think about the possibilities of AI, pattern recognition, mathematics in the hands of musicians might enable all kinds of things. And this is obvious to me, and I think it's obvious to you, that music is not something to solve And we're all going to come up with our own ways. With that, I want to say, many tools now feel this transactional. You request a song, you get a song. If everybody's pulling from the same probability distributions, our stuff looks similar. The slop that we're all dealing with these days. And in the beginning, I tried to break some of these models, like you all might have been trying to break. So the music models that give you entire songs, if you don't give it any prompt, in the beginning, like 3 years ago, I would get these kinds of sounds, and I was so pumped by these sounds. I want to show you some of these sounds. It's going to be loud, I think, and weird.
The problems in again to run about BBT from the songs and trying to most of the watering session and the internet is the most is down total not even the same supposed to I really don't it's an happy on the ground so you could match nothing.
I'll pause it because that went on for another minute. These models have all kinds of patterns they have extracted and sounds they can make that are very weird and interesting. So if we reach into the model and try to make things that haven't been possible before, interesting things are possible. But that's enough words. I want to show you how we've been doing this kind of diverging from the center. So in human music, we're not all trying to make the same thing. We're all trying to find our own meanings. And here is an example of how we used autoencoders from 2021 with a gesture instrument so that you could put your hand inside the model and generate new sounds. So listen to the sounds, and it's being generated from this movement of my friend Nina over there. And this was done in an opera by Todd Macover. Let's listen to it. Very weird sounds, but she's moving around in this space. These gestures are being mapped. They're being synthesized live. Kind of interesting back then. The sounds are weird. Then we tried doing this with chamber musicians who play their instrument. So instead of using text, we're using their audio to generate new sounds. In this case, we trained a model on a particular river, and we let the chamber musicians play and sample from this river. And this is what that sounded like. Kind of hear it. You can kind of see he's playing, that's becoming water. We did the same thing with Indian instruments. We're going to do the same thing with the Boston Symphony Orchestra in October. What does the orchestra make out of an AI model? And also, these new ways of making sound so fast, in real time, which is why I'm so super excited to do this with all of you, because whatever we'll make right now will be in real time, cannot be replicated, will be with the help of all of you. And I think that is what is special about this tool, is it makes us be agile and creative in the most human ways, where you make mistakes, where you look for ideas, you reject what the AI said, you accept what it said. And I'm so excited that the Google Magenta team, 10 years, wow. And they're releasing this real-time, on-device model, open source, open weights, controllable in many different ways, for musicians to really break open in their own ways. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to break it open right now. And maybe there'll be pops and crackles and mistakes, but you're all on my team, right? It's OK we make some mistakes, so let's listen to it. Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm back. As you can hear, we've been making sounds with these models, and it's all running locally on this computer. So it's a lot for this computer, but it's sending this sound out. And I want to show you what all the things that are possible in here. So what I'm going to do is stop this audio right now. Shh. That's stopped. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off a bunch of the things that are running and run only this thing that runs locally, no internet required. If you give me just a minute. You know, this really shows you that it's live. Things can go wrong. I did like the crackling sounds, though. They were nice. Thank you. Okay, I think this is going to be nice now. Let me show you all what I'm looking at. All right, there we go. And just one last thing. I want this to be Chrome. Oh, I turned it off. All right, are you all ready?
When you came and talked to me, you told me of that beautiful forest, the village huts all cuddled around that river. I believed what you told me till you started lying. When I found those books, stories of great leaders, visionaries and thinkers, discovering uncovered lands, I believed what I read until the text started lying.
When you showed me a picture of that city of skyscrapers, the faces of millions around our planet, I believed what you showed me until your pictures started lying. When I'm being the reality of that happy child smiling in a virtual playground coded especially for his mind, I'll believe what it tells me until it starts lying.
Maybe I start from like a vocal recording and use audio to audio algorithms to make the rest. I don't know. What do you think? It is human music, no?
It lies. It always starts lying.
Thank you. Anybody have questions for what's going on? No questions. One question I have is, when do you all get to try this? Very soon. I hear it's coming out very, very soon. In like less than a month. 2 weeks, your term said. Like very soon. And the model is running locally on my computer. And it's open weight, so you can fine-tune it on your own music. I was controlling it with guitar and text, and y'all were controlling it. Anybody have a question? I think over there. Yeah, so actually, I think they mentioned before that a first version of this kind of class of models was released a year ago, Magenta Real-Time version 1. And along with it, they have also released code for fine-tuning it, which means it's open weights, it's licensed, the model, and then if you have a collection of sounds, you can train a model that is tuned towards that collection of sounds. And one thing that I'm super excited about this model is you can control it with text, you can control it with audio, you can control it with MIDI, In my case, I was trying to play with the guitar. But the possibilities of any musician to fit this in their workflow, I think, are pretty tremendous. Yes. Sorry? Input what? A graphic. Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, so the question was, is it possible to input a graphic? I think the model is a music model that understands text and audio and MIDI, but you could take graphics and connect it to this. So you could pick out pixels and have it control something. We just did like a dance performance where we had like at MIT, some of the students there just did a show where they were having movement interpreted into activity, energy, and then used that to run the models. So I think it's not meant to understand what an image might mean, but if you build the steps in the middle, maybe you want to pick out ideas in the image of what objects are in the image. There is an example of a music camera, I think, that you can also take a look at for ideas. Yes, back there. I'm very excited because to me, this marks like the beginning of another class of AI music tools that are meant not to solve music or make a product that anybody can now become a musician, but actually give it to the hands of musicians. It's pretty interesting and hard to use, and I think I think musicians are not interested in making it very easy. You do want friction. That's where creativity comes from. So a whole class of models that are local, that you can train or cook in any way, make mistakes with more easily, means that different types of musicians will come up with ideas and directions that the community can explore together. I showed in some of my slides before that I explored Indian music with these models, and I did some of that. And some jazz musicians might try to think of it in a different way, modular synthesizers, sequencers. So I'm super excited about the possibilities. I think many people in this room will come up with ideas I can't think of. Yes?
As a musician, how does this change the way you're thinking about making music?
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. I don't know, but this machine seems to me as able to do some things that were not possible before. As a musician, I want to express my intent with more than just a few words. I want to express my intent by playing a gesture on the instrument I play, or if I'm a drummer, then I speak that language. So instead of dumbing down my language to a few prompts, this will let me interface with the model in the whole richness or entropy of information that as a musician you learn to build. So I think as a musician, this speaks to me a lot more. Like I can explore it. And one thing that you might have noticed is I love improvising and going crazy and doing weird things. That's not the only direction of music, but that's the part I'm personally interested in. And I'm interested in two ideas. One, sounds that are not possible before. What is in the corners of this model? Things that when you mix ideas together, what's like the weird stuff? And the weirdness can have a meaning. And another is just that because it's so fast, we can do things like that were not possible before, like what we just did, where y'all were controlling things and giving me ideas. Maybe there's more ideas up in the crowd, so we can chat later. Yeah.
I'm curious, so obviously like the sound generation, but are there any features for sending signals to other devices like MIDI or control voltage where it can like listen back? Let's say like you're sending it to a modular synthesizer. It's kind of like making changes that it can do. Like probably doesn't have that feature just yet, but that would be an interesting kind of like feedback.
That's so exciting. I think right now, once this tool comes out as like a form that you can use, a plugin, a Python code, then you can figure out how, like where you want to fit it. So if you want to extract information from this music to control another synthesizer, we already have so many like plugins and tools that can take a sample and extract MIDIs from it. This is a sample, it's live, so I think there are already things waiting for you to plug this into. Yeah.
So towards the end of the performance, were the images that were showing up on screen also connected to the music that you were making?
So the last piece, thank you for asking about this last piece. It was a piece that I made along with my community called Algo Rave India, where we make Algo Rave music back in India. And this piece, I made a bunch of these variations of the same image. Maybe you noticed there was a house and a street, and I made like 50, 100 versions of it. One time, I did not make it right now. I made it at home. I think I can do it now as well. And then I just had them randomly with like a P5.js script generate the thing. And the stuff you heard at the end was some sample chopping with Strudel that I was doing. Yeah.
I'm curious. I know that you did a very free-form improvisation. I'm curious if you have tried any timed improvisation where it could keep up with the BPM or stuff like that.
That's such a nice question, and maybe I'll come back to the screen to show you that. So here is the example I have. Wow, look at this beautiful star of colors. That's you guys. 50 people in chat. That's crazy. So let's say I type something that's timed, like a simple drum loop. Let's see what comes out of it. Oh, I think maybe, can I play audio again through, yeah? Ooh, I like it slowing down. Now, one thing I really like is, because this is a generative model, there is a probability distribution space. So I can sample with a higher temperature or top K, and that would be this. That would find the corners of the model. Okay, I like this. Now, what I'm going to do is save a moment. That's saved. Now I'll recall that moment. I have that. Let's make it go in different directions. Maybe that gives you a sense of how you can go back in time in memory and generate new directions. Yeah. Yes.
Is this something that's meant to be used within like your DAW, like if you're using Logic or Ableton or something? I'm kind of trying to imagine it like within tracks, because sometimes you'll feed it a piece of AI information and it'll give you like multiple sounds, and what if I want to isolate something and record it? I'm trying to think of the workflow in that way. Is it meant to be a DAW on its own, or is it meant to be integrated into a DAW that you use?
I think it is meant to be like a plugin, which can be in any DAW of your choosing. Is there anything else you all want to say? Yeah, we have the people right here.
This is actually basically all things that Manaswi built. What we're going to be open sourcing is the model itself and a few things, and probably, well, we'll talk to Manaswi if he wants to open source this as well. But with on-demand vibe coding these days, it's extremely easy to get it to run in all kinds of environments. We're planning on open sourcing it with a bunch.
All right, let's give Manaswi and the Magenta team a huge round of applause for such an incredible presentation. Really inspiring performance and demo.
No. That was. All right. Yeah. Thanks for coming out. You have 5 minutes to leave. or I mean, not 10 minutes. But we will be, Threes Brewing is open until I think midnight. So a group of us will be joining if you want to join us there. And yeah, thanks.